Guys, Nick from Arch City Poker and ArchCityPLO.com. In today's vlog, we're going to talk about going for thin value. So a lot of players, I notice in live low stakes games, they don't go for value thinly enough. And I would say probably in most spots. And what we need to understand is that in live low stakes poker games, players tend to make mistakes in the form of passive play, in the form of calling, opposed to aggressive play, betting and or raising. So how do we exploit that? And I have a lot of players that I've worked with personally before. They'll say, or they'll ask, Nick, how do I get these players to fold? They just never fold. They're so sticky, even with like third pair, second pair, they just won't fold their draws. Guys, it's really simple. The exploit is to simply cut back on the bluffs and to widen your value betting range. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to bet for 3 streets of value with like second or third pair yourself. And streets of value, that's a term that is an interesting one in itself to talk about. I believe in the next video, that's the topic of discussion. But as far as going for thin value, we want to choose spots where we have a very high level of confidence that our opponent's range is pretty capped, and we're likely just going to get him to make mistakes in the form of just calling. He's not going to play tough enough. He's not going to raise us when we quite possibly are perceived as very capped. A very simple example is, let's say you have a hand like ace-jack, okay? And you raise out of position, player in position calls, you go heads up to the flop. And the flop comes king-jack 3. So a flop that you're going to have a little bit of a range advantage on simply because he didn't 3-bet, so some of the combos at the top of his range don't exist on that flop texture. Could be a texture that, because you have such a range advantage, you could consider some c-bets even with ace-jack. But ace-jack does have a lot of showdown value. We're probably not going to get 3 streets of value with that hand, so it could be one that you start with a check. You check, he checks back. That is a signal to you that he should be pretty capped. These players in live low stakes games, they don't tend to balance their ranges well enough when they check back in that spot. So what we're going to do on most runouts is, not only are we going to now bet for value and possibly a little protection on the turn, but we're going to plan to bet a second time on the river. And this is where a lot of players get kind of scared or reluctant, if you will. But it's a really good spot to represent a lot of bluffs, because you didn't c-bet the flop. They're just going to think that you don't really have a whole lot, which, I mean, for the most part, you probably don't have a whole lot. But you have enough that you have the best hand, essentially, and you can get called by worse. If it's a very tight player, then sizing matters a little bit. On the river, we probably can keep it a little smaller, maybe half pot as an exploit. If it's a player that just seriously can't fold, or you think that your image is a little looser, increase the sizing. Go ahead and size up even closer to pot. I do this all the time. I get called way more often than you think I would by hands that you would never think I could get to call. So yeah, point of the video is obviously have a high level of confidence when your opponent's range is pretty capped, meaning deprived of nutty combos in their range, and start to take some of those better second pair hands, even sometimes some higher third pair hands perhaps, but I would say a lot of like those second pair hands are going to be the ones that fit in, especially your weak top pair hands if you did decide to start with a check with those, which that is a good strategy a lot of the times with those. But look to go for value over 2 streets, and if those opponents are, if they're going to be ones that make mistakes in the form of calling, they're too passive on the river, size up. Don't be afraid. You're not going to get raised in that spot. You will get worse to call often enough. So if you guys have any questions or comments, let me know in the comment section, of course. Visit, excuse me, guys, visit ArchCityPLO.com. Improve your no limit and PLO games today. I'm still loading content on their daily, getting members to sign up almost every other day now, it seems, the last couple weeks. And Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.